Hey, hey, are you ready to own your network? Well, it's time to boost your influence on the live show. Let's get going.
Oh, Colleen, we can't hear you all of a sudden. Hey, apparently we're having technical difficulties. But it's a live show and that's how we roll. So we're just gonna roll with the punches. Colleen, you want to say 1 2 1 2 so we can get you back audio on? Nope, not yet. Well, it's okay. If you are watching right now, then guess what? Uh, you are a co host on the couch with us today, and you will be joining me, Monica Henderson. We also have Nancy, uh, and we also have Colleen Struby. Colleen, one more time. Let's see if we can get you now. Yep, nope. We can't hear you, Colleen. So we're just gonna make it happen today. Colleen, if you want to leave and come back, we'll figure it out. Today's show is all about owning your network, and it's going to be a dynamic conversation as soon as we can get back on and in with audio working. And in the backgrounds, we're going to make that happen. But to introduce my co-host on the couch is you. You are a part of this conversation. So if you want to chime in, just drop a comment in the chat. And I want to introduce you to my co-host, Nancy. Nancy is a awesome person that I have gotten to meet recently. And Nancy is a helps people with their grief journey, but she is also a part of the Milk Crate Mastermind, which is also where I met her from, and a dynamic woman. You have to meet her. Nancy, please answer the question: how has taking ownership of who you network with helped you build your current business?
Thank you, Monica. Yeah, networking is not a one size fits all undertaking. When I first started my business, I thought that I would go to networking meetings, I would tell people that I'm a grief journey guide, and that everyone would line up and want to work with me. And I found out that I needed to be a lot more discerning about the people that I was networking with because, first of all, not everybody wants to hear about grief. Grief makes them uncomfortable. So I had to become very picky about the people that I network with. And now I only network with people who get me and who understand that grief is a lifelong journey. And sometimes we need help moving through it.
Absolutely. It's so true that like a lot of times when we get into the networking, fresh into networking, we're like, all I have to do is come in and say what I do, and people are just gonna jump right in into my inbox, into my business, and really start working with me. And so you're absolutely right on that. And we're still waiting for Colleen to kind of jump back in because we're having technical difficulties. But you and I, Nancy, are here. We're going to have this fabulous conversation. And when she can join us, she will. That for me, taking ownership of my networking really came down to that transition period. So um, when I was originally started networking, I was networking as a custom clothier for Orthodox Jewish women and people who were religious, making formal and bridal. And the shift that I had to create in my networking when I was transitioning out of kind of just being the sole owner of that business and really kind of announcing that MinkLife Motivation is where I am and this is what I'm doing, is I actually had to change the circles of people that I was looking for, and really kind of identify who my new market was, and reframing all of the conversations that I was having in my networking. And because of that, reframing of being a part of these groups and not just being a custom clothing person, but also being someone who has always been in business development. But, my path took me on this journey for custom clothing. I really was able to um, understand myself and my business better. And I was able to actually really kind of turn that conversation around to where I'm now heavily networked all over the world and people know me as Mink Life instead of Mink Couture, which is absolutely fabulous. So, when we are talking about owning our networking, and taking ownership, a lot of the times Nancy and I were kind of chatting a little bit before we got on about like we weren't taught to network, for sure, coming out of school, and we definitely weren't taught that we had ownership in the people who were in our network. And so the question what our focus is today, and really kind of staying on topic of networking, why is it important to share what you do for work with your network? Why is it important for them to know that?
Oh, that's a great question. It's important for them to know that because until they hear it in a lot of different ways, they're not going to understand it. If I tell someone I'm a grief journey guide and I can help them navigate the grief journey, they're not going to know what that means unless I tell them some of my story, unless I tell them what all the applications of it are, and unless I meet with them one on one and really help them to understand exactly what it is that I do. I'm not a grief counselor. I work in an intuitive way teaching presence, and that is something that not a whole lot of people know about, and it can be very transformative. But someone has to understand what I do, and if I didn't tell them that, they may think that I'm a conventional grief counselor or a therapist, or that I'm one of the many other wonderful grief programs out there. That's how I work. So it's important to help people to understand who I am and how I do what I do.
So true. Look at that.
Yay.
Colleen, are you here? Are you back?
Hey, can you hear me now?
Yay! The magic of live broadcasting, right? We magically got you back into the conversation.
There you go. It's like multiple technologies. Okay, that one doesn't work. Let's grab this one. That one doesn't work. Let's grab that one.
Yes. Well, we're so happy you can join us finally, that the technology allowed you back in. And we were just having a conversation, and the conversation was really about kind of why it's important to share what you do with your network. And Nancy was just sharing about how, as a grief guide, how she really had to differentiate between what she does versus what all the others do. And people are dropping in and out of this this today, so we're just gonna.
I don't even think Mercury is retrograde. I don't think Mercury is retrograde right now. So
I don't know. Maybe it's the technology gods who are kind of like keeping us on our toes and making sure that we really know what we're talking about. Because if not, this would be very difficult. So, Colleen, I don't know if you want to kind of chime in on the conversation about kind of. Sorry, that's not the question. The question is, why is it important to share what you do with your network?
Well, because if you're out there networking, it makes sense that you share exactly what you do and give the person that you're sharing with the right information for them to be able to support you. So many times I find that in networking, people are not specific. They do everything in very general terms. and therefore it's difficult for you. Like, I'm always there trying to find out, like, who can I connect you to? But if you don't give me anything to kind of latch onto, it makes it very difficult for me to do what I love to do, and that's the connect people. So I usually tell people, try to be as specific as you can, because the brain will be able to pull it back out, right? So if you can give enough detail that I'm thinking, oh yeah, I can look at somebody in my phone and know they're the right person for me to connect you to, then you were specific, right? If even if there isn't somebody I know, you get so close that then the brain can go, oh, well, what about? And then it can jump to the next level. So that's really about, the tip would be that, really try to, connect with people.
100%. Yes, you nailed that. Absolutely. One of the things that I started doing in networking is I stopped actually putting um, a bunch of information in the chat. You know how, like, we're doing a lot of virtual networking, and so I stopped putting a bunch of information in the chat when it came to telling people what I did, and it was just very one sentence. I am looking for speakers on this topic. And that changed everything about what I was doing in networking, and got people on my calendar so much quicker. And they were very targeted and very specific. And it also made it super easy for everybody else to refer me, because they also um, were sure who I was looking for, right? So we have some of our co-hosts on the count chiming in. Someone says, "Hello, ladies." Unfortunately, Facebook did not identify who you are, but we're so happy you're here. And we are having this conversation about networking. So if you have anything to contribute to the conversation, feel free to drop your comments in the chat, just like that Facebook user did, because we want to hear from you. Why is it important for you to share what you do with your network? So next, we're going to stay inspired. And I'm taking the reins because we've been having some tech issues. So if you were Colleen to be the moderator of this conversation, you expected right. Unfortunately, the technology gods decided there was going to be a different order, and we're just going to go in divine order here. So we want to stay inspired, and we want to help people understand, how does the lack of understanding people affect the way we move in life and in business, especially in this arena of networking. And I'm going to let our guest, Nancy, go first. How would you answer this question? Oh, is she frozen? Am I frozen? She's frozen. Colleen, how about you?
Yeah, I'll start. So, I think so. One of the things I found a tool that really helps me understand people, and what I realized was I'm a high nurturing information person. So when I talk to people, I want to give them all the information, right? Because that's what I would want. Well, what I found was there are people out there that just want the top 3 bullets to point it down for them. These are like the action type. And I found that I was struggling with closing sales with those people because I would talk my way out of a sale. So I think really understanding who you're talking to and how they want to receive the information is critical.
Yes, Nancy's back with us, unfrozen. Woo! We're just gonna keep working through this, guys. By the way, we also have Irina on the couch.
It's just like,
so Irina's going to chime in and help us in the chats too. And if anybody else is watching, because it looks like there's 4 of you watching, join in and join in on the chat as well, because we could use as much help as we can get, because apparently this is supposed to be a great conversation. So Nancy, I don't know if you heard the question, but the question is, why is it important to share? Oh, no, I'm sorry. That's not the question. The question is, how does the lack of understanding people affect the way that we move through life and business?
That's a really great question. Understanding people, not everybody is going to be our clients. Not everybody is our ideal client. And if we understand the way a person is receiving us, if we understand the type of person we're talking to, we can craft our message so that they can better understand it, so that they can better know who to refer me to, who to connect me with. And I also came to understand that unless we continue to follow up with people, which is Colleen's wheelhouse, but unless we continue to follow up with people, we're going to fall off the radar. So understanding that people need to hear from us more than once, twice, or three times.
Them's facts.
Yeah.
It's absolutely true. For me, I like to think of myself as a bit of a sociologist when it comes to networking. And my job is to really, really understand how people interact, how they live their life, so that I can make it as easy as possible for them to be able to refer me. Right. So one of the reasons why there are a couple reasons why I have a lot of appointments on my calendar. One is because people do the fall in love with follow. I do the fall in love with follow up with Colleen, and like Nancy was saying, I do that follow up consistently so that I'm constantly having this conversation. But the other thing is, when I'm asking someone to help refer me, I actually make it really easy for them. My calendar link is my name, Monica M. Henderson, and I just put a www and a .com on the outside of my name, so it's really easy to figure out how to get somebody to me. Oh, here's her name. Go talk to her. And the other thing is, I don't ask other people to sell me. And by knowing them, right, that people don't know how to put the words together to sell you, and that you just say, you know what, I met this awesome lady, you should introduce me to her. Here's her calendar link, and it's as easy to remember as my name. Then I have then made it so easy for people to get to me, that all the work is at that point is the follow-up process of continuing to build that relationship and hanging out with Colleen on a regular basis. So for me, that is kind of how I really enjoy kind of interacting with people that way. Colleen, did you get a chance to chime in on this question? I'm losing track because everyone's lost.
Yeah, I was saying, present to somebody the way they want to be presented to, right? And get the information. And Monica's right. Like, I met 4 people at the networking fair I was just at, and I mentioned the London conference. And I'm like, if you're interested, let me know. So, like, 4 people that get Monica's in the next half hour. So
Exactly.
super easy.
So we have our co-host in the house, and said, luck of understanding your clients may cause the total different reaction than we expect from them. And it's really true. A lack of understanding of your customer may cause I think that was supposed to be what it is, may cause the total different reaction than you expect them to. Have either of you ever had that where you did early in your journey, where you maybe didn't understand who your client was, and so the response you got was different?
Yeah, I thought everybody was my client.
Who doesn't?
Yeah. Yeah, and I was shocked to find out that it wasn't, and I'm glad that it isn't, because the people who I thought were my clients are in no way, shape, or form ready to work with me, and don't want to have conversations with me. So I would be wasting a lot of time trying to bring them to a place where they were ready to work with me.
Yeah. Yeah, yes, yes, and yes. Colleen, what about you? Was there ever a time where you like didn't know your client, and so the response you got
Yeah,
was
and I think
way
it comes when you don't know your client. You're like Nancy was saying, is like you reach out to a lot of people. So
yeah, yeah. I would probably say the same thing. I got introduced to a lot of people who I was not going to ever like, and I knew that once I got into that meeting because your eyes glaze over when they're talking to you, and you're like, oh snaps, like, how did I end up here?
that's where
Wow.
we changed our time of our meetings, right?
Yeah,
We
it's
we
like,
made them now shorter, so it's not an hour meeting anymore. It's 15 minutes, right? Just
Yeah,
to
yeah,
right.
mine's the 20-minute buffered call, right? And
Mhm.
if I if if it's the right person, I have more than 20 minutes. If it's the wrong person, oh, my max is 20 minutes. I can only tolerate that for 20 minutes. So it's one of those things. Anyway, I digress. And my job is to keep us on track because we've been all over the place here. So let's keep networking. And who should you ask when you're trying to improve our networking with our network? So when you're trying to actually improve how you're networking with your network, uh, who should you ask for help for that? I'm going to go with Nancy first.
You should ask others who have been networking longer than you, or people in communities like this, or um, people who have successful businesses.
Absolutely.
And hopefully they're all the same person. You can find them all in the same place.
that would be fantastic for sure. Colleen, how about you?
Yeah, I think you should, when you're networking, reach out to the person that's hosting that networking group, right? Because they know everyone who's there, right? Especially if it's a membership group, and then they can actually, kind of steer you in the right direction for the people that they're like, oh yeah, you need to go talk to X, Y, Bob that does this and Sue that does that. Reach out to those people who, like Nancy was saying, are in charge of the whole group.
Yes, our co-host on the account said, Colleen Strawberry. There you go. Gotta love a friendly audience. And I would actually say the person that you should reach out to when trying to network better, obviously Colleen Struby, but also people who know people, um, which means kind of everyone. But you do have to know who you're looking for very specifically, right? So if you know who you are looking for very specifically, and I'm channeling my inner Peggy here, tell literally everyone, even at the grocery store, I'm really looking for this, uh, because Peggy has said it on many a time that she is the one who would talk to her grocery clerk. Yeah, thanks for ringing up those tomatoes. By the way, do you know do you know whatever? And she's been able to get that. And so once you are very clear about what it is you're looking for, right, in your networking, then you should literally tell everybody, I am looking for this. Kind of like it's a scavenger hunt, and you never know who actually has the next clue to get you closer to that treasure. So we have Nancy coming in and out. She's frozen right now, so I think she's probably going to drop off again because we are having tech issues like there's no tomorrow. But I hope you are enjoying this conversation so far. If you are, give us a big thumbs up in the chat so we know that we're doing okay. All right. So that's mine. While we're trying to figure out whether or not Nancy's going to join us, Colleen, do you want to give us your final thought on growing your in the area of sharing the love with your network? No, actually growing in the area of networking. Final thought, how can we boost influence by networking?
I think you have to get out there and do it. And then you have to also look at where you're networking. So, I teach, when people come into the program, I teach them that there's so many different types of networking groups out there and different types of networking, and you need to make sure you're in the right room, and that it's going to fit. Your ideal clients there, your power partners are there. So it's really looking at figuring out where you are networking, and then that you're doing it strategically, that you're just not going just to go, and it becomes a social group. So many networking groups, there's a place for a social group and there's a place for support, but if you're there and you want it to be a true I'm looking for a power partner who are going to we're going to pass referrals back and forth. If that group becomes a social group, then it's not fitting the need that you need. So it's really looking at your network groups, reevaluating them every so often to make sure they're still working the way you want them to work.
All right. Very good. Nancy, nice to have you back unfrozen again. All right. So the question at hand is, what's your final thought on basically owning your network and boosting your influence through networking?
Be discerning and build that relationship, because unless you have a relationship with your power partners, you may not feel comfortable referring each other. And when you have a relationship with them, their name comes to mind immediately, and hopefully yours will come to their mind immediately when they meet.
Uh-oh, I think we lost her again.
I mean, definitely what she was saying is, like, you need to have that relationship, right? You need to build that connection, do things together, both in business and personal. So.
There you are.
I'm back. The last thing I was going to say is, when they meet someone that you should meet, I have it on Facebook, and I'm reading what I was saying. So that was the rest of my thought.
Perfect. And I guess my final thought would be that you should follow your passion. Listen, when we were kids, we weren't like, oh, when I grow up, I'm like totally going to hang out with really lame people who suck the joy out of me. And I'm going to do a job that really doesn't make me happy. And I'm going to just live a life where I go to work every day and pay bills and do errands around the house on the weekends. You said when you were a kid that you were going to have fun, that you were going to be amazing, that you were going to like do everything in your power to have an awesome life. And so you have a choice. Own your network. Choose the people you hang around with. And by choosing the people you hang around with, you actually get to enjoy your time. So I always give a group of people 3 or 4 meetings. And if I don't feel like they're my people, I go ahead and just say, you know what, this is not my people. It may be beneficial for your business, but it may not be beneficial for your soul. And those two things have to like live in the same place. So I would say, follow your passion, follow your excitement. And if the people that you're hanging out with in your networking activities are people you would hang out with just in general, and also serve your business, then that is a winner. So that would be my final thought on all of this. We have a new co-host on the couch, Margot, saying Nancy is one of the few people who look good even when they're frozen. Yes, that's what I'm talking about.
Am I real or not?
Right? She gave a great pose when she left. Thanks, Margot, for chiming in on the couch and watching us on LinkedIn. Super appreciate you being a part of this conversation. This was fun. It was a little quirky, a little interesting, as I never knew. It was like musical, like guests.
Yeah.
Like, who's gonna
musical boxes, right?
Whose turn is it today? But nevertheless, we've had fun. Thank you, Nancy, for being the first. This is your first time on the show. You did a fantastic job, and we appreciate you as well. And for Colleen, I'm so happy that we were able to get in this space. It's now time for my favorite part, and I am going to sing the song for you because Yo would have it otherwise. It's it's time for announcements. So, Nancy, while we have you unfrozen,
Yes.
how can people connect with you? What announcement do you have to share with the community?
Well, people can connect with me on my website, which is beingwithgrief.com. You can also find me on Facebook, Being with Grief, or Nancy Miller Leffler. I'd love to have a conversation with you where we can talk about anything that any questions you would like to ask me about navigating your grief journey. We also have a monthly webinar called Changing Your Conversation Around Grief that my husband and I do, and have monthly topics, so I can tell you about that during our conversation. So hope to talk with you.
Love that. So you heard it here. You're going to connect with her, get on her calendar because she wants to connect with you. Awesome. Colleen, please share a little bit about your announcements.
Yeah, well, we're talking about networking today. And when you go out there and you network and you meet all these amazing people, you need to follow up with them. And that's what we created the Fall in Love follow-up experience for. Just people like you that go out, meet a lot of people, but might have put that follow-up on the back burner. We get together. We have a great time. You do it with the support of other people. We give you some scripts and things. So there's mastermind going on, but the key, most important thing is you will get that follow-up done, and you got to do it anyway. So why don't you come join us with a 2-week free trial?
Perfection. Yes. I highly recommend that you try the 2-week free trial. I guarantee you, if you follow the process, you will have your calendar broken often, as I have done many a times doing the Fall in Love with follow-up experience. It is a phenomenal experience for sure. And if you are interested in connecting with me, I said it earlier, you heard it. All you have to do is go to www.monicamhenderson.com and pop on my calendar. I would love to learn about you and your business. And all it takes is a 20-minute free call for me to understand how we can support you in your business. And that is my personal announcement. But there are so many more things that are happening in our community, as we have lost Nancy yet again.
We're back.
Nothing are persistent. And so here's a few things that you need to know about our community. Very soon here, we will be doing the London Next Global Conference. Your mission, should you choose to accept it, is to experience a conference that is like no other. There are 24 panel discussions, 6 reflective workshops, 24 breakout sessions, and a global networking community ready to share their experiences and expertise all in just 2 days. Now, this is not, it really is like no other conference you've ever experienced. And Nancy will tell you, because she just came off of the Los Angeles conference.
Mm-hmm.
And she was like, that was not what I was expecting.
No. It was amazing.
But you are not a fly on the wall in these conferences. You are a part of the experience. Your expertise gets to get shared. You get to learn from other people, and we get to learn from you. So if you want to learn more about that, go to nextglobalvirtualconference.com. So at MinkLife Innovation, we are not just a live show. We are not just a Facebook group, but we are also a online learning or unlearning community called Mingle. Yes, we have our own private group app where we share, we get motivated, stay inspired, keep networking, and gain knowledge, all together by watching videos in our knowledge library, by direct messaging each community member, by asking for help and sharing our expertise. And we do all that in the app. But it doesn't stop there, because we also have our Incubator. It is our co-working space where we come together to do pop-up masterminds, to hold each other accountable, or just to not be alone in this thing called business. So if you want to be a part of any of that, it all is a part of our Mingle membership. And last but not least, we also have this live show, a podcast, and a publication that we all participate in as a collaborative community, so that you I and everybody can learn more about each other's businesses and also learn from each other's expertise. So I don't know if you caught the hint, but networking is awesome. And we work together in a network to be a part of all of that. And you can go to our website to be a part of that. Well, this has brought us to the end of our show. And although the technology gods have thrown us every freaking curveball that can possibly be thrown, we have made it to the show today. I want to thank my co-hosts today, Colleen Struby and Nancy. I can't pronounce your last name very well, so I always avoid it. How do you pronounce it?
It's Leffler.
Leffler, for being a part of the show today.
Leffler.
And playing this game of musical squares. I can't wait for you guys to dive into the next topic with Irina Sorunina. Next week, she will be on as your moderator, helping you calibrate your life on Wednesday at 9 a.m. Pacific time. Can't wait to hear that topic. It's been so fun. Bye-bye. See you next time. Bye. Bye.